welcome you to Belson Stadium, where the second ticket to the Big East Men's Soccer Championship game is on the line as the St. John's Red Storm welcome in the Providence Friars. Good evening, everybody. Alongside my partner, Jamie Watson, I'm John Fanta. Welcome to Queens, where we have a fascinating showdown between two 13-win heavyweights, both in the top 21 of the NCAA RPI, and they are more than likely heading to the NCAA tournament. Tonight, they're playing for a ticket to meet Georgetown on Sunday.
Well, it'd be a big one, certainly. And you mentioned both teams in the top 21. St. John's 6th overall in the RPI. Both of these teams have tested themselves, both with the conference schedule and non-conference schedule. But for me, the big key is the fact that these teams met just 1 week ago. In Providence, run out 2-0 winners at home. Now, obviously, a different dynamic here at Belson Stadium, but that's only a week ago, and that's certainly in the players' back of their minds, knowing this matchup went in the way of Providence. So, a lot to play for here tonight, John.
Friars have won their last 5 games. They've won 7 of their last 8. On the other side, Dave Mazur has found a resurgence for this St. John's program. When you think of college soccer through the last couple of decades, Dave Mazur comes to mind as a legend. This program, they haven't been in the College Cup since 2008. This team has made fans believe that they could get back to those types of heights.
Well, certainly, and I was unfortunately on the wrong side of some results against Dave Mazur back in my day. His teams are always very compact, very organized, yet they work very hard, and that pressure can really put Providence on the back foot. For me, that's going to be really key. Providence obviously has a big height advantage. They want to make sure to get those set pieces. They feel like that's going to be an important part of the game today, but the pressure of the Red Storm, if they can manage to put the Friars on the back foot, that's where they can really dictate the pace of the game, and I think that's very important here at home for the Red Storm tonight.
Who could be put on their heels? Because these two teams aren't used to that, Jamie. They've combined for 19 clean sheets on the year. Both have great defenses. There are players who could break through, and we turn to those now as St. John's has a dynamic sophomore presence in the Big East Offensive Player of the Year, Tani Oluwaseyi.
What sophomore slump? 10 goals this season so far. Oluwaseyi, he's been fantastic, and he's done it in a plethora of ways. He can hurt you on the dribble, yet he can also create for his teammates around. He makes a nuisance about himself, and that's one of the best compliments you can give to an opponent because he does such a good job of popping up in the right places, doing the right things at the right time, helping his team get goals when they need it most in games.
On the other side, as Paulo Lima goes, the Friars go. 5 goals on this winning streak in as many matches.
Well, he's such a creator in the midfield. He does such a great job. He does the work defensively, but he's also able to get forward. And normally in his position, you don't really find somebody towards the top of the scoring chart. Here we find Paulo Lima being so effective on both sides of the ball for the Friars. He's the key why they're here in this position, why they have the ability, if they can get another result the second time in a week, that they can book themselves a ticket into the Big East Final on Sunday.
So many impact players in this one. You've got a double-digit amount of all-conference honorees. These two coaches, Dave Mazur for St. John's and Craig Stewart for Providence, they both know how to get to the top of the mountain. It wasn't long ago that the Friars went to 2 Elite Eights in 3 years, and St. John's, they know how to get to College Cups as well. We've got Megan Caffrey, our sideline reporter, here with us tonight. Let's look at the first of our coaches' conversations.
Your team has won your last 5 matches. How are you peaking at the perfect moment, so to speak?
I just think that's a hope as a coach, right? Is that you're playing your best football at the right time of year, and I think the group have done a good job of making corrections along the way and improving along the way to put ourselves in this position.
Your team has been taking advantage of set pieces all season, especially in your last game against Marquette. You scored your first goal off a set piece. How is that a strength of this team?
I think within the group we have good service and delivery, and then some good strength and size, and guys who can get on the end of that stuff. So, and again, I think this time of year that becomes those little details become really important and can be the difference in the game.
Looking at Esben Wolf, the freshman, he scored in your last 2 matches. How is he stepping up right now?
I think he's just been pretty consistent throughout the year. He's only a freshman, believe it or not, and he's just been pretty steady. And I think it just, again, of late has probably found more production in front of goal, but I think he's been real steady all year.
What is key for your team tonight to get a result?
I think we've got to, think about our performance the last time we played these guys and improve on that and be better again, and which will be a great matchup.
Coach Stewart, thank you so much. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Let's take a deeper dive into the Friars. Jamie, what's the key for them to win tonight?
Well, John, I found it interesting when both of the coaches gave us some time yesterday over the phone. They both mentioned how if St. John's gets off to a fast start and they're able to be energetic and they're able to put Providence on the back foot, that's really where both teams realize that could be a game changer, and that could be a point of contention for Providence if they're not able to handle that pressure. So for me, I think Providence, like you saw a week ago, if they get to halftime and it's 0-0, they haven't conceded, well, that's going to do wonders for Providence because they're going to grow in confidence in the game on the road, knowing that they were in a similar situation a week ago and they were able to get the result. So I think it's important to make sure not to concede early if you're Providence, and the longer this game goes, maybe a little bit more pressure on St. John's to go and chase the game's first goal.
You heard from Providence. Now Megan Caffrey talks with St. John's head coach, Dr. Dave Mazer.
Coach Mazer, your team is averaging just over 2 goals per game this season. What do you attribute the offensive success to?
It's been a lot of people contributing in different ways, a lot of times in the second half. One of the keys is kind of getting that first goal, make sure we get up on teams and we're able to, the game opens up. We've got to make sure we can win, tighter games, 0-0 games, 1-0 games, either way. Make sure we do a little better job of being a more, determined and focused defensive team as well as a team that wants to go forward a lot.
You have the Big East Offensive Player of the Year in sophomore Tanae Olawashe. He leads the league in goals with 10. How has he provided a spark to this offense?
Yeah, enormous spark. He's been an opportunist. He's been able to create goals. He's good off the break. He's good in the box, and we hope maybe today he gets one with his head. I don't think he's done that this year, so we hopefully get a little bit of an array, but he's been quite good, and we're really pleased with what he's been able to contribute to the group.
What does your team need to control tonight in order to get a result?
Providence is a super talented team. They push a lot of guys forward. Their midfield is outstanding between 6, 8, and 19 in the middle there. They're very good on set pieces with long throws and corners, so we've got to really limit that and really make sure we can defend against their midfield and make sure that our front runners and our attacking players have a little more energy to get forward at the right times. We had a lot of possession in the last match, but didn't really make use of it and didn't penetrate in their box. So we've got to be better in the offensive box.
Coach, thank you so much. Good luck tonight.
Thank you, Megan.
The stage is set for this semifinal showdown. St. John's and Providence going at it. The series history between these two teams is fascinating. From 1989 to 2009, St. John's did not lose to Providence. But since Big East reconfiguration in 2013, Providence has owned this series with a 7-0-1 record. So it's only fitting in a way. St. John's has been a buzzsaw all season long that to get to the finals, it would have to beat the team that has had their number the last decade.
You got to beat the best to be the best, right, John? And they've been the nemesis for Providence. Providence has really had their number, yet you look at tonight's game and you start to go, this is an opportunity to play in a final. Now, both teams know because of the result, it will be at Georgetown. Maybe it would have been a little bit different dynamic had Butler been able to pull it off in penalties, the upset. St. John's would have known they would have gotten the opportunity to host, but nonetheless, an opportunity to play on the final is at stake here. You can throw out the record books from the past because when you get that opportunity, that's all Dr. Dave Mazer is going to be telling their players. You want a chance to win a Big East championship. You want to be able to lift a trophy, win some hardware, something nobody can ever take away from you. You got to get the business done here tonight at home to book that ticket on Sunday to the final.
And if the first semifinal between Georgetown and Butler is any indication for what we're in for tonight, we're going to have some fun.
And maybe some extra soccer, too. Who knows? Stick around. This is going to be a very good game. You are not going to want to miss this one.
Lineups, kickoff, a word from Megan Caffrey, and much more on a chilly night in Queens, St. John's and Providence for a trip to a Big East title game. It's next.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
St. John's University, our students believe, serve, explore, and achieve. A Catholic, Vincentian, metropolitan, and global university. We are at the heart of where lives are enriched. We provide a transformative education that goes far beyond the classroom. We aspire to do more. And for nearly 150 years, the St. John's story has been the story of New York City. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Just moments away from kickoff here at Belson Stadium. A spot in the Big East Championship game at stake on a brisk, chilly November night here in Queens. These two programs, Providence has not been to a Big East final since 2014. St. John's, the year was 2011. But they are just 90 minutes away from returning to that mountain for a title game showdown. Before kickoff, let's send it downstairs to the third member of our team, Megan Caffrey.
Throwing it to me. Thanks, John. And speaking with both head coaches, they stress the importance that set pieces will have in today's match, especially when you're looking at the Friars. They average 6.83 corner kicks per game. And in speaking with St. John's head coach, Dr. Dave Mazer, that's one of the very first things he brought up to us in saying his team needs to limit Providence's ability to get corners. Guys?
I think Megan's absolutely right, John. I think that's such a great point. I think that's going to be such a big point of emphasis tonight for both teams, for better or for worse, because when they met just a week ago, that's how Providence were able to get the game's first goal, ultimately change the whole complexion of the second half. So I think that's something both coaches are going to want to make sure that they're tight in the box, that there's no loose runners, no free runners, and that could be something to keep an eye on as this game unfolds.
St. John's in the home whites. There's Dave Mazer. Providence in the black and gray visiting uniforms. We are underway here. A ticket to Sunday's final in our nation's capital against Georgetown on the line. Both these teams with three-back systems. Providence, the 3-5-2 look. St. John's, a 3-4-3 that can certainly morph. In a game where you've got two teams who know all too well how to shut people down, Providence with 10 shutouts, St. John's with 9, you have to think early on these teams have to be looking to create that flash.
Well, so early on, you don't want to be the one to make a mistake. So sometimes less is more. Being simplistic. If you get in trouble, put the ball in the corner. Good hold-up play to start. This is Providence just taking 10 yards at a time. This is being methodical about how they want to do it. You go forward, it's not on, okay, go the other way. That'd be a very good start for Craig Stewart's team if they're able to just keep possession and get St. John's working a little bit.
When we talked to Providence head coach Craig Stewart, he said, anytime you play St. John's, you have to be ready to match their work rate because nobody works the way they do over 90 minutes.
Wasn't that the calling card of Dr. Dave Mazer over the years? Just making sure that your teams are energetic, making sure that you impose the pace of the game, you set the tone. Don't be on the back foot, because when you find yourself on the back foot, then you're at the mercy of the other team. So they like to go out and put their mark on the game early on. Look for St. John's to be a little bit more high-pressed, a little bit more energetic than when these two teams met a week ago.
Ramsey Kawazmi sets things up here. Sophomore defender who's part of a Providence defense that has been so stout this season with the 10 clean sheets. The Friars have been on a roll coming into this match. They're outscoring opponents on this 5-match winning streak, 12-3.
We're playing some of the best soccer right now, and talking with head coach Craig Stewart, he made it a point to say we're methodical in how we do the periodization of the season. When we want our players to ramp up, Now, of course, John, every coach says that at the beginning of the year, but he's been able to dial up the right words, the right training methods to get his team peaking in 7-1 in their last 8 games, heading into arguably the biggest game of the season here tonight. He certainly has his team playing the way that he wants them to play.
Simonson laying it out wide. Now ball down the left side here across for Oluwaseyi. Still in the area in a dangerous spot, and Providence just bulleting it away. St. John's, possession-oriented, a defensive power, ability to just be physical. But this year, the difference for them in this 13-win campaign has been the depth in finishing. Oluwaseyi with the 10 goals. Minor Lai with 5 of his own. Nico Petridis with 4, and Skage Simonson, although only 2 goals, he's led the team with 6 assists in his sophomore campaign. Reigning Big East Freshman of the Year. Dribbler from Duarte, another impact player, the senior from Ontario. How rewarding this has to be for him. You play for a moment like this. And for Brandon Duarte, he gets his reward here tonight.
Yeah, you see Brandon wearing the captain's armband. Second team, all Big East. Leads by example. And it's one of these players that really is going to have to be impactful. Great service, gets up and down the line. An engine that you love to have. Is part of the reason they can play this 3-5-2 formation is when you have a player like Duarte who does the work both defensively but gets into the attack to create the extra numbers going into the final third.
That's what Dave Mazer said to us yesterday. He said, look, we've had a couple of injuries here and there on the road to this point, and some of them have meant more than others, but he said, in the end of the day, we've had players rise to the occasion time and again. This one cut off, and Mendonça, such a physical presence in the midfield for the Friars. Serrano up the field. Giles Serrano, such an impact player on both ends. 4 goals, 7 assists. Came up with a dish this past weekend when Providence just took it to Marquette. 3-0 the final in the quarterfinal. The Friars putting on a show.
And Coach Craig Stewart said he wasn't even pleased. He said there was a lot of things that they could have been better on. And for me, it's a telling sign that even though you win 3-0, you advance when your season is on the line, that you still want to be meticulous in how you break the game down and not just say, okay, this is strictly about the results. Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, it is a results-driven part of the season, but he wants his team to be better because he knows the competition is only going to get harder and harder from here on out, so they have to start playing their best soccer and really peaking, like we mentioned just a few minutes ago.
Looking for their first Big East title match trip since 2014 when they edged Xavier 2-1. That one over at PPL Park. Now this championship on campus sites. Ball for Oluwaseyi, just couldn't get it to his feet. Espen Wolf will throw in. Craig Stewart's so complimentary of Wolf.
The freshman has just been fantastic, though, hasn't he? He's just a player that's really been dynamic. Good size about him. 3 goals, 5 assists, so he's also creating. He's not just necessarily doing it for himself. And as you make that jump from the high school level to the college ranks, that's when the speed of play starts to sometimes be an issue. Espen Wolf has acclimated and gotten better and better as the season has gone on.
A special talent to take on everything that comes with that transition to college and run with it. Lima trying to create something. St. John swarming down on the far end. And Red Storm with the throw. What an interesting dynamic to this match. Just a week ago, Providence rolling past St. John's 2-0 as impressive a performance as anybody's had against this Red Storm team, besides Georgetown, who's now awaiting the winner of this one. So the Hollywood script follows itself for St. John's. They potentially would have to get through the two teams that took it to them. Here's Wolf. Annie Griffin laying it back. Griffin, sophomore, plays such a vital role for the Friars in the midfield.
That's disappointing to see it break down there on Serrano. They've done such a great job finding a good little pocket of space with Griffin. Instead of forcing it where he didn't see the numbers up advantage, he pulls it back out to Serrano to start to play the game 3-on-2. It becomes 3-on-3, and then an errant pass goes over the end line. But that's patient buildup. That's really good from Providence. And to your point you mentioned about the dynamic of having played just a week ago, you'd think because it's such a short turnaround that they'd both have the same mindsets. Well, for St. John's, they've set on that game for the last week. All they've done is prepare potentially for Providence or Marquette had they been through, but that's the last time they played a game, was against Providence. That's what's freshest in the players' minds. But you look at Providence on the other side, they had to switch focus completely. Go take on a very good Marquette team. They got the job done. Now they got to switch back to this. So I think maybe St. John's, a little bit of anger from the last time these two teams played out, learned some tough lessons. You get a foul here in the midfield. You look at Simonson there get pulled down. You just start to go, well, you know, maybe St. John's tactically had a week to think on this. Maybe game plan for Providence, assuming they were going to get the job done as a higher seed. They did. So now are they going to be able to correct those mistakes that cost them the result on the last day of the regular season?
Not only has this last week weighed on the Red Storm, how about the last decade?
Oh, I mean, that's a whole different topic, isn't it, right there? It seems different iterations come through, but John, you were saying some stat in the open that just blew my mind. When was the last time St. John's beat Providence?
2008. Now, these two teams did not meet for a couple of years between 2010 and 2012 due to being in different divisions in Big East men's soccer. But the Red Storm has not pulled out a win over Providence since 08. They won twice, once in the regular season, and then in the Big East tournament, they rolled all the way to the College Cup. This is their winningest season since that 08 campaign. But tonight they meet one of the hottest teams in the country. These two on a collision course. You wonder what St. John's was thinking here throughout the last week, how you stay composed. They watched on Saturday and saw what their fate would be in facing this Providence team. They've come out tonight and possessed it well. Simonson with the ball for Oluwaseyi, sophomore to sophomore. Oluwaseyi with 10 goals on the season. The Red Storm star had his shot get blocked. Now from beyond the box, a ball to the back post. Oluwaseyi just a little off, but that was a good look.
Oh, Oluwaseyi gets in such a great spot. He does brilliantly off the cross from Bustamante to go back across, but I'd love to see him, instead of trying to go for a goal, guide that back across. He had a teammate just lurking at the back post. Forster was all by himself. So instead of going for a goal, John, as that angle starts to go further and further away, can you just square the ball across, keep it in play? If he does, Matt Forster will have the easiest goal he'd score in his entire college career, but instead he goes for goal, and maybe that's the wrong decision in that moment from Oluwaseyi.
Matt Forster, the senior, has been an All-Big East selection earlier in his career. It's something to think St. John's with 6 of those, and not one of them is Matt Forster, but he's that caliber of a talent. What a move by Simonson. Just an amazing ability to create. Lays it off. Now a feed. Dangerous spot there facing the goal. Griffin just laying it off for a St. John's corner.
Well, Oluwaseyi pulls off the back shoulder because Simonson, as he plays the ball out wide to Bustamante, continues his run on. And you just see the ball bounce inside the 6. He can really go anywhere. Serrano doesn't know his surroundings, so he makes sure to clear it awkwardly but effectively and concedes the corner.
First corner of the night. Matt Forster, the senior, going to that back post, and all over it is Avisa. Austin Avisa. What a year he's been able to put together.
He's been stellar in goal. 18 games played, 18 games started, 8 shutouts on the year. I mean, Aviza's been everything that Craig Stewart has asked of and more. Both these two teams so stout defensively, but that's got to be better from Forster. Bad giveaway in the middle from Lima.
Now Oluwaseyi, center of the box, looking for space. Gets one off, but the Friars were swarming him. There were 3 behind the ball. Just nothing the sophomore could do to get in on target. What we're seeing early, though, is Tani Oluwaseyi make the impact he has all year. It's why he's the top offensive player in this conference.
He is, but that's brilliant defending in the end from Kwasmami. He just stands him up. He doesn't dive in. Oluwaseyi wants to get on his left foot, but Kwasmami doesn't give him that opportunity. He doesn't get that half step that he needs inside the box. Ultimately, steps in at the right time, wins the tackle. That's an important challenge after a poor giveaway in the midfield from Lima.
Now a run ahead. Aviza's there to stop it. The header on the rebound. It's in. And St. John's strikes first. Who else but Tani? Number 11 on the season for the top offensive player in the Big East.
It may not be the biggest crowd we'll see all season here at Belson Stadium, but he goes and celebrates with the fans. Oluwaseyi first to react. It's the first strike. It's a good one. It's a wonderful save from Aviza. He just throws his hands up, and it goes right into the path. Oluwaseyi, he does a brilliant job of staying with it. It's just a guided header into the back of the empty net. Does a great job from that, and what a finish in the end from Oluwaseyi. Gives the Red Storm the perfect start that they could have dreamed of in this matchup.
The Big East Offensive Player of the Year with a dream season. And it continues tonight as they're looking for him again. Send it back down to Megan.
Enough. St. John's head coach, Dr. Dave Mazer, was joking with me before saying the only thing that Tani hasn't done this season is score a goal with a header, and now he gets a header in that goal right there. And one of the things that Coach Mazer did point out about Tani is that he scores goals at opportune moments. He knows when he has that moment right there and takes it immediately. Guys?
Now how do the Friars respond?
Well, I mean, you got to get possession. You got to get these opportunities when you go forward and get more of an end product right now. They're doing everything to get towards the final third, yet they're not getting the service, they're not getting the delivery or the shots off even that Craig Stewart will have wanted from his team. So the next 5 minutes after conceding for both teams is going to be very important. And the Friars so far, they're starting to take a little bit more space than they were in the previous couple minutes that led up to Oluwaseyi's goal.
Well, the Friars tilting the field here a little bit. We haven't seen much of that in the first 15 minutes. After the Big East Offensive Player of the Year, Tani Oluwaseyi, just getting the Red Storm on the board moments ago in the 14th. And Craig Stewart's Friars have to play from behind tonight, a week after they controlled the Red Storm. That one at Chappie Field, a 2-0 Friar win. All played in. Mendonça creates a corner.
Set pieces was huge. You heard Megan talk about set pieces and how important it is for both teams. I think she told us Providence had 7 goals on the season so far. This is going to be a big, important point of emphasis for Dr. Dave Mazer and his team to make sure they do not concede like they did when these teams met a week ago.
Oluwaseyi with the goal, the first for St. John's against Providence, and this is staggering, since 2014. Serrano, he's an excellent corner kick taker as Halfner ranging to it. It'll be another corner for Providence. And this is the first test for John Halfner, the Presbyterian transfer, part of the tandem goalkeeper system for St. John's. Another corner now for the Friars, who are knocking on the door, looking for a quick response. This is Danny Griffin. They go short with it. Now to the back post, Halfner eating it up.
So they go short to try to change the angle, yet when it goes out wide and you get everybody in the box waiting, a floated ball, everyone's standing up under it. No one can go and attack that. You can't use the pace of the ball. So as Serrano gets that ball on that favored left foot, that cultured left foot, he's got to be able to whip that in with a bit more pace to help his players that are waiting inside the box to try to get something on it.
Forster and the Red Storm out to such a strong start here tonight. We've told you about this Providence team having their number over the last decade, but a flip of the script here by St. John's to open things up. Griffin laying it off. This Friars team, just the 4th goal they've allowed in the last 6 games. Coming into tonight, had outscored their opponents 12-3 in their previous 5.
Hadn't conceded in the previous 236 minutes. I mean, it was an impressive run, so that's why I was more interested to see the response from Providence, because last time these teams played, they were up the entire the game. They never went down. So now how do they respond playing at St. John's on the road down?
Big East Soccer is certainly providing us with storylines aplenty. This afternoon, Georgetown and Butler playing an absolute thriller. I know you were locked in on that one here. So the Friars build it up. Aspen Wolf, he scored in the last 2 for Providence. It's been Wolf and Lima delivering as of late. Here's Lima now. Providence so patient, and they're able to win out there with the foul. It'll be a free kick from a somewhat dangerous spot.
Kevin Vang doing a wonderful job holding the play up. Little change of pace, able to get a touch right before the defender dives in, commits a foul. So again, another set piece opportunity in which you'll get Serrano be able to stand over. You have Danny Griffin. You've got wonderful different options. And this time, you're going to have Serrano with that left foot try to curl this in. Look for this ball to try to get into that space where it's right on top of the 6-yard box, just behind the line. That's holding their line of confrontation at the penalty spot, 12 yards out. And the goalkeeper obviously sitting on his line right there. That's the spot Serrano's going to want to try to serve this in with pace.
Serrano, an all Big East first team selection. 4 goals, 7 assists. Looking for an 8th dish here. Serrano going to the near post. St. John's looked like they expected him to head to the far one, and instead Hofffelner's there.
Yeah, that's not what Serrano wanted at all. He tried to hit that a little bit harder than the previous deliveries we've seen, trying to create that pace we were just referencing, and instead he gets it all wrong, just misstrikes it. So now he's floated one too high. He's hit one too hard along the ground. Now maybe 3rd time's a charm, maybe that delivery that's so important for Providence will get better as the game goes on. They'll certainly need it.
Cross laid in, the Friars handling this well, but St. John's can press high. Wolf trying to get to it. Mendonça, they are all over it.
A lovely skill from Mendonça to get out of tight space there.
Tiago Mendonça. Craig Stewart said he's a man.
Yeah, just look at him. That beard, I've been trying to grow one like that, Johnson. It just hasn't happened for me.
Keep working on it. I don't try. And it's a good thing I don't. By the way, you said 3rd time's the charm. Was that how it was? They tell me 3rd time's the charm for you always in your playing days, right?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, for a lot of things.
Or was it first time?
It certainly wasn't that, because if it was, I'd still be playing, John. 3rd time's the charm, and maybe sometimes 5th or 6th for me.
Here's a ball for Oluwaseyi. Already just putting on a show. And the Friars all over it this time.
Yeah, just a little bit too much as he's trying to hold up the play. Realize Providence does such a great job of getting back into space, but now you're seeing one from each team, both trying to go for nutmegs in difficult positions. Your coaches aren't going to be well pleased with that, giving away possession. You want to make sure if you're Oluwaseyi and you decide you don't want to go for pace in behind, you're going to hold up the play, then do just that. Get your teammates involved. He's too good of a player to do all the hard part and then give it right back to Providence when his teammates are making lung-busting 30-yard runs to get in the box.
these conditions chilly. When you talk to players, they don't mind the cold because you're not cramping up nearly as much. And it can be refreshing to play in this, even though it is quite cold.
Hey, look, we talk about the schedule and if it should be this way, if it's not. But if you're playing in the coldest time of the year, that means you're doing something right. So it's the blessing and the curse, right? It's difficult to play in these conditions, certainly. But no snow tonight. We're not having to bust out any sort of orange bowl or clear the field. John, you and I aren't down there snow shoveling. So it could be worse. It's not that bad because you're right. You do feel as though you can run. But in days in which it's cold like this, you want to make sure to have the ball do the work, meaning get your positions right, do the early runs, get 5-10 yards ahead of the play, get in a good spot, and then pass and move like St. John's is doing, working their way up the field here beautifully.
That's why we credit Megan Caffrey bracing the conditions downstairs for us tonight.
She's a lot tougher than you and I, that's for sure, being down there.
Totally. Simonson with a run, laying it off. Now a service sent in, and the Friars all over it. Still in a dangerous spot in Providence with many behind the ball. That original one came out wide. Bustamante. And this will be a throw in here. Referee looking, and it'll be for the Friars. What we might lack in facial hair, we make up for in hair product. John Fanta, Jamie Watson upstairs, Megan Caffrey with us as well. Big East semifinals. Georgetown sitting in D.C. right now with smiles on their faces. Brian Weiss's group will look for a three-peat Sunday, but they'd like to know who they're playing. Hofflner with a tough touch. It's a Friar throw-in, and what we've seen here in the last 10 minutes is Providence settle in a little bit more.
Yeah, it's been an interesting 10 minutes since conceding for Providence. They've done a brilliant job of getting into good spaces. Another one here, but it's been that final ball that they're lacking. And we'll get another corner opportunity here. Be interesting to see. Danny Griffin's been preferred on the right side here to try to curl these in. So obviously Craig Stewart prefers the in-swinging corner, yet hasn't been able to get the delivery he's desired from either Griffin or Serrano. But again, this is the point. We're going to hammer this home all game because set pieces for Providence is where they found a lot of their success this season.
Danny Griffin will send this in. Friars looking for the equalizer to the 6 and headed out. We'll do it all over again. A fourth PC corner.
That's better. Except Providence had 4 players kind of drop off to the back post and only 2 went near post. So one's got to get across the goalkeeper. That's the most important thing when you're in the box.
They used that back post so successfully on Saturday against Marquette. Now they go for it. Hofflner's all over it. And the officials call the foul there on the lead up. The scramble.
Was something off the ball there. Duarte getting fouled, but Hofflner coming out, commanding the box, doing a good job there. He had one just a few minutes ago where he misjudged from the other side with Serrano. He was still able to get a slight deflection on the ball, and he conceded another corner. An important touch at the time because if he comes out and misses completely, it was going to be a tap-in for Providence forward.
Simonson, such a dynamic sophomore and an imposing presence on the field. Serrano, though, and all Big East first team are taking it back. Mendonça now looking for some space. The game just goes at his pace. Now up to Griffin. Wearing that captain's armband tonight.
Great confidence from Mendonça. And there, as you mentioned, John, just the player on him, confidently being able to shield it, keeping himself, his body in between the ball and the defender with his head up, looking at different options as well. And ultimately, they're able to break a little bit of pressure and get a throw in here at midfield.
That's been Wolf on the throw-in. And they switch the field here. Providence finding more possession here, more of a tempo. After the goal, Lutani Oluwaseyi to set the tone. 13.5 minutes in, the sophomore scoring off his own shot, the rebound pass to Visa. St. John's scoring against Providence for the first time in 6 meetings. Belson Stadium such a difficult place to win at throughout the years, but particularly this year. St. John's 7-1 at home. The one loss came to the third-ranked team in the nation, the Georgetown Hoyas. Wolf stepping in. Nice grab by the fan in the stands. On a night this cold, we're impressed.
Yeah, I mean, you're a lot braver than me. I don't have gloves on up here, John, so that comes to me. I'm ducking and letting that hit you. Much better from the fan.
You bring the muscle, I'll bring the girth, and in these cold conditions, it all works out. Here's Oluwashi already with one of Visa off his line to eat it up. St. John's, they're showing us how quickly they can go about their business.
We've seen this formation that they have, this 3-5-2 formation. They can crowd numbers into the midfield, and I think the midfield battle is going to be so important here tonight. And I think Dr. Dave Mazer will be the more pleased of the two coaches so far because they've done a great job, whether it's Simonson and you got Knapp in there. Both of those players have done a really good job of congesting the midfield against Mendonça and Lima. We haven't said Lima's name enough tonight. And that's a problem for Providence. It's a player we focused on in the open, John, and we certainly haven't said his name enough because he's not getting on the ball enough. That's something that Providence will need to fix because, as you said, as Lima goes and as Craig Stewart's team goes, so does Providence.
Craig Stewart has done a tremendous job with this program. 8th season at Providence College. And this ball for Wolf. Wolf searching for another corner, but instead it's just a goal kick for Hoffelner. They got deep into the zone that time. Just couldn't come out. The end result. Speaking of heads of hair, Espen Wolf, the freshman, not only is he skilled.
Some good flow. Some very good flow from the freshman.
We asked Craig Stewart about him. He said Espen goes about his business unlike a lot of freshmen. And he said he puts in the extra work. He's earned the respect of his teammates as a result. I always have to chuckle, and I know you as a former player can too, when a coach says he's just a soccer player.
It's a compliment. It's like a football guy being a football guy. You know what I mean? The soccer player, he's got a good IQ about the game. At 6'1", he's got the size, but he's also got the trust of his coach and his teammates because he started all 18 games so far this season for Providence, and he's going to look to go from strength to strength as his career goes on. He certainly has the abilities and the looks to be able to play at the next level, Espen Wolf.
Oluwashi, sworn by 3 Friars, laying it back. Arte laying it in. And the official signaling for a foul on St. John's. So Providence, with 15 and change left in this opening stanza, the Friars looking for a response. A red-hot team that has been stifled here in the opening 30 against this St. John's side that had revenge in their minds all week, losing 2-0 in Friartown last Thursday, something St. John's hasn't done much of this year. A 13-3-1 record in a loaded Big East Conference. That says a lot. The conference, this tells you everything you need to know. The 4 semifinalists in this tournament, all in the top 25 of the NCAA RPI. And this could very well be a 4-bid conference in the NCAAs.
I certainly think it should be. I mean, I think both of these coaches really tested their squad this season with the non-conference schedule as well as a very difficult Big East Conference schedule, and both teams have 13 wins to show for it.
Duarte, the senior, to the 6, a header, and it's still out. Off the hands of Avisa as it came in from Forster. And the Friars, fortunate here, it's still to be 1-0 because Forster got a clean touch. Avisa did just enough. Now on the counter, Trevor DeVoke. DeVoke to Griffin. And Griffin looking back for DeVoke. Another nice touch from DeVoke. Griffin with a dangerous ball to the feet of Wolf. St. John's with numbers behind the ball. Nice job defensively, getting back in transition against that counter.
Anywhere will do right now. Clearance much better from Providence. Get a big save from their goalkeeper one end. They look to attack the other way now.
Sometimes that can be the start of something.
It was not for fantastic goalkeeping out there. They're in from Avisa. It could have easily gone 2-0. A great header back across from Forster. Wonderful delivery from Duarte, and Forster sees as he's backpedaling, he's not going to be able to create as much pace as he'd like to on the header, so he heads it back across goal, trying to catch Avisa. And Avisa alertly moves his feet well, gets down, makes a big save, and that could be a big turning point in this first half. And as we see, Matt Chandler down with an injury now, getting his leg looked at.
A sophomore from Toronto, a stalwart defender at 6'6". He's been automatic for St. John's defensively, and they really need him on the defensive side, favoring that left ankle, it appears. Good to see he's up on his own power. Look at how connected St. John's is. You see Duarte in a teaching moment, talking right now. Good to see Chandler walking. That's a good sign for St. John's. This time of year, Jamie, you look at these teams nationally and you think to yourself, in this sport particularly, you do have to catch fortune in terms of staying healthy. Sometimes the role of Paul. There's breaks. It's a reality that sets in because there's really such a thin margin between these teams.
No, you're right, John. And with the season and the schedule being so convoluted, you really have to rely on some good fortune, because a rolled ankle that could be 2 to 3 weeks, well, that could turn into 4, 5, 6 games, and especially at this point in the season. So good to see Chandler back up, get back into play here in just a moment. He's standing at the sideline waiting to come in, and there he returns. That'll be a big sigh of relief, as you mentioned, at 6'6". What an imposing presence. Puts himself in good positions inside the box to make sure he can win those all-important headers and clearances that the St. John's backline desperately needs.
If you're just joining us, St. John's getting on the board in the 14th. Tani Olawashe with his 11th of a stellar sophomore campaign that's led him to the Big East Offensive Player of the Year award. He showed flashes last year. It was actually his teammate Simonson who won Big East Freshman of the Year. It just tells you how star-studded this sophomore class is. Serrano now on the corner to the back post. St. John's defending it well. Vang asking for a throw. It's Griffin who will hand it to Wolf in Providence. With 12 minutes left in this first half, Jamie, if you're Craig Story, you have to be encouraged by the fact that they've gotten in there attacking third. Just one shot on target thus far.
Yeah, it's going to need to be a little bit more with that final product. I think that's what he'll most likely be saying to his team. Now, obviously, still just under 12 minutes left in this first half. They've been knocking at the door, but it's about getting those quality opportunities. Right now, it's just the quantity, and I think that's the difference maker in the two teams right now is Olawashe was able to finish his opportunity, and they've had a couple other close opportunities, as have Providence, but yet so far, one player has been willing to step up in the moment and be able to go and get the game's first goal. That was for St. John's and Olawashe.
We've been treated to the St. John Star tonight. He is a joy to watch.
A big future ahead for him, and it'll be interesting. There's a lot of good players here on the field today on display, as there are throughout the entirety of the Big East. It's just important to know what is the maturation you saw growing off of the back of his freshman year in which he had 4 goals. He develops now into getting his 11th goal of the season here tonight. The maturation of these players sometimes comes at different points. You see Espen Wolf, we've talked about him a lot as a freshman, already playing 18 games in his first year. I mean, that's massive. That's so important to get that kind of experience, but to get the production that Olawashe has had in the second season, that's really a big telling point when you got these players that have ambitions to play at the next level.
Danza ahead. searching for any sort of opening, and St. John's defensively just doesn't provide any sort of a gap.
Just really good midfield play, just clogging the middle when they don't have the ball. Look at this pressure, too, that St. John's has just forced this turnover off of.
Simonson with some space. Don't give him an opening. Mendonça taking it back and now going long with it.
Really good recovery from Christopher Roman there just to get back in, and what looked to be a counterattack was spelled because of the work rate from the Friars to get back in there. And get another look at Chandler here. You're just kind of wondering. He doesn't quite seem to be the same moving side to side since he had to step off momentarily with his injury. That's something that we'll keep an eye on, because that could be a big talking point if the big 6'6" center back isn't able to continue on, or is going to be hobbled on for the rest of the match, even at that.
Good sense running a little bit gingerly, but it would take a lot to keep him out of this match. Riza hammering this one down the far end. Roman trying to win this back and is fouled, but St. John's applying some high pressure here. That's Julot feeding up the field. Just a freshman. Kawazmi. Eight and a half left in this first half. St. John's getting on the board in the 14th. Tani Oluwaseyi, the Red Storm 12-0-1 this season when they score first.
It's pretty good, John. It's pretty good. That's a good mark for how they're able to play in front. They're able to catch teams a little bit more and more on the break when they get the lead early. Now Providence with a long throw here is going to try to go and get the game's equalizer.
St. John's with all 11 behind the ball. Now laid in, it was for Wolf. The Red Storm had him marked. He was trying to get his head to it. And the Johnnies keep it in the field of play. Oluwaseyi to Simonson, that was beautiful.
Great flick on from Oluwaseyi, but Simonson just takes a little bit too long to try to play the next ball forward and gives away possession back to the Friars.
Mendonça. Back to Griffin. St. John's just so physical tonight. Lai coming up, trying to make a play. Well, it's 1-0 St. John's here. 7 minutes left in this first half. Who does this style of play favor?
Well, right now, I think you just mentioned it. You talk about how good St. John's is playing on the lead 12-0-1 in the last 13 when they take the lead in 13 games this season. I think St. John's has done a very good job of being compact. The opportunities they have given away have been off of set pieces, as we talked about. Nothing really completely dangerous. That said, this is really putting us on the back foot here, and yet they've been able to win the midfield battle so far. And a guy like Einar Lai, we haven't said his name a whole lot tonight, but that's just because he's doing the work off the ball.
Compact was a word Dave Mazer used for the keys to this match, because he felt like they weren't compact enough in giving up to a Providence last week.
And that's the difference of not having a game in between. You get your reward for being a second seed overall during the regular season in the Big East, so they got a chance to sit on this matchup against Providence for a week, figure out what worked, what didn't work, and that was the issue that Dr. Dave Mazer pointed at and said that wasn't good enough by our standards, that we weren't compact enough. So tonight, first time to get back on the field since that matchup, they're way more compact, and they've done a way better job of being able to just win the midfield against this very good Friar team.
29 years at the helm here at St. John's. Dr. Dave Mazer, what a job he has done this season. Such an amazing campaign they've been able to put together, and hopeful for what's to come in the NCAA tournament. This venue throughout the Mazer era has played host to 15 NCAA tournament games, and they are looking for more to come. St. John's has had such an amazing legacy of success. 9 Big East tournament titles. That leads the conference all time. And this team has a 10th on their minds.
A real standard setter. And you look at Georgetown as of late, they've won the Big East tournament 2 years in a row, but if St. John's can hold on here today, it'll be another opportunity for St. John's to try to make amends from a 4-0 thrashing. You see that banner waves proudly in 1996, winning a College Cup, and it's really one of these situations in which any year, if you catch form at the right time, this team, they're battle tested. The St. John's team, 6th overall in the RPI rankings, 8th overall in the college rankings. You look at these teams and you go, either one of these could make a run, and it's about staying healthy, catching form at the right time, and having a goal scorer like Olawashai that can put the ball in the back of the net.
What's amazing about this team is of the 35 players on the roster, 25 are either freshmen or sophomores. And you think, okay, there's 10 upperclassmen, but of those 10, 6 are in their first or second year with the program.
Yeah, they're going to be good for the next next couple of years, aren't they? I mean, that's a very encouraging sign. But look at this Providence team, too. They gave them a lot of problems a week ago, and they're getting their opportunities. They're not taking them yet. You get another opportunity here. Some good service from Wolf.
Now Wolf with another, and Hoffelner climbing up, vacuuming it up. And talking with his back line a little bit. Espen Wolf's been active as all get out this first half. He's been a positive. And with more on Espen, let's send it down to Megan.
Well, John, and speaking with Esben after the Marquette win, I was talking to him a little bit about just how he's been able to be so successful as a freshman, and he told me it really does have to do with his teammates. He came into the program and just felt so confident and comfortable, and that has a lot to do with the culture that Craig Stewart has been instilling in this program.
Great stuff, Megan. And Hoffelner taken down. Davis Smith flying in, and Davis Smith assessed a card, and rightly so.
Yeah, just clumsy from the big man coming in and getting on the end of coming second best to the challenge with Hoffelner. Referees are always going to be protective in the end of goalkeepers, and Hoffelner was always going to get it. You could tell he's trying to pull up, he's trying to catch it. I don't think there's a lot in there on look at that replay. I just wonder, he's just come in. You just start going, right, is this going to be a moment in which you could say settle down? You weren't trying to be malicious, so after seeing the replay, I think that might have been a bit of a harsh decision, but nonetheless, Davis Smith goes in to the referee's pocketbook.
First booking of this one. Simonson ahead. Olawashe wanted to get to it. Thought there was some contact there as he tried to. Friars go long again. They'll do that. That's how connected they are defensively, then into their attack. We've told you about what Serrano and Mendonça do physically in the midfield. They can do so much in the scoring category as well.
And to Megan's point, Espen Wolf been able to get involved in the attack here today. 3 goals, 5 assists in his freshman season. I mean, Megan obviously had a lot of great things to say about Espen, and I think through the first half, Espen Wolf has been important to this. He's been able to get back defensively, provide cover when needed to, but then also get into the attack. And still with under 3 minutes, he's able to get involved in making up for a first half in which Paulo Lima hasn't really given us what we maybe would have expected, but other players like Wolf have been able to step up, as Megan was saying.
That's the takeaway from the first half. As far as the Friars go, Lima, who scored in each of the last 5 matches, all Providence wins, and tonight he's been quiet. St. John's looking for some cushion here before the end of the first half. Duarte, and it's ahead for Wolf. That could have very well resulted in eventually a corner. Duarte been able to get the right deflection across the line.
And Duarte did well to step in and win that, and a bit of a bad ball from Mendonça, but then he's able to get in and he's able to get position savvy in there.
There's the man Providence needs to get going. Paulo Lima.
And look, you never account for your defensive midfielder, one of your midfielders, to be one of your leading goal scorers, yet here we are. Paulo Lima is that type of player that has the ability to joining into the attack late, is able to score. He's got such a presence about him in the field, yet he hasn't been able to make his mark on this game yet. Be very important for him in the second half.
The sophomore has led the way for the Friars, 7 goals. Really coming on as of late. Final minute of this opening half. Gil Santos just coming on for the Friars, the sophomore forward from Portugal. Very capable of starting for this team. They like to bring him in off the bench. Here's Mendonça with a run. Can Providence find that moment? If it's not a finishing moment, one to take in with them as a feather in their cap to the locker room.
That's a great header from Kawasmi a minute ago just to win that. What you need from your center back. Win those big headers.
Kawasmi drilling this one ahead. St. John's 7-0 this year when taking in a first half lead. They have not lost when scoring first. 13 times they've done that. Griffin with a bullet. Hofffelner locks it in. And the St. John's Red Storm have set the tone. 45 down and 45 minutes away. Bertani Oluwaseyi, the Big East Offensive Player of the Year, lived up to his billing in the 14th with the breakthrough.
He's been the difference maker so far in the two teams. A game in which nobody else besides Oluwaseyi has stepped up when needed. He's been the difference maker. He's what's given St. John's the lead. Both coaches will go in, they'll make their adjustments, and I think we're in for a much more action-packed second half getting forward, because this game will open up as Providence takes more chances and as St. John's looks to catch the Friars on the counter.
The winner meeting Georgetown on Sunday in the Big East Championship game. Here it is again, Tani Oluwaseyi with his 11th of his sophomore season. We've got plenty coming up at the half in this Big East semifinal. Jamie Watson's What to Watch for the second half, a new segment on our show, and much more. This is the Big East Men's Soccer Championship, driven by Jeep.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
At St. John's University, our students believe, serve, explore, and achieve. A Catholic, Vincentian, Metropolitan, and global university, we are at the heart of where lives are enriched. We provide a transformative education that goes far beyond the classroom. We aspire to do more. And for nearly 150 years, the St. John's story has been the story of New York City. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
time came to stop coaching, I was very fortunate that I didn't have to go cold turkey. I was able to start the Big East Conference, and we came across the sky like a meteor.
One recruiting year that they had that really turned everything around was the Ewan Mullen Pinckney recruiting year. It changed the face of Eastern basketball probably forever.
We just believed in ourselves, and a lot of hard work on everybody's part.
Every March, Madison Square Garden is home to everything that is college basketball.
Put on your red shoes and dance the blues.
What? How's the weather? Yeah. It's snowing out. It's a blizzard, but we ain't gonna stop.
Rightly, there were questions early on about whether the Big East could withstand the test of reconfiguration, and I think if you were here, we've done that and more.
It's a monster league now. Last man standing, bring the flag. Tough to coach in, but great for spectators and great to play in. The march of the Big East goes on.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Under the lights at Belson Stadium in Queens, St. John's 1, Providence 0 at the half, 45 minutes away from a team clinching the second ticket to the Big East Final on Sunday. Georgetown awaiting the winner. John Fanta, Jamie Watson with you, Megan Caffrey, third member of our team on the sidelines. And Jamie, what was your takeaway from the first half?
I really think two teams that formationally play similarly kind of cancel each other out. Now, there were good opportunities, a lot of services. This first one, Oluwaseyi, I think, should have gone back across goal, but he didn't. Nonetheless, quick counter here from St. John's. It was kind of the story of the first half. Oluwaseyi making a nuisance of himself, as he does. The Big East Offensive Player of the Year was knocking at the doorstep until finally he was able to deliver, and it was a fluke bounce that put himself right into the path. He takes it first time. Aviza makes a great first save, more self-preservation than anything. The rebound falls right into the path of Oluwaseyi, and he makes no mistake about it, heads it into the empty net. And then you just got Providence from there, just getting their opportunities as it comes on, but more so from set pieces. Vang does a good job of earning one here, but then the service, again, has been the issue. Serrano, as that one looks to go in near post, that's certainly not what he wanted to do. And then at the other end, a couple another near chances. Duarte, again, getting up and down the line. That was a good header back across from Forster, who gets the start tonight, and Avisa moving his feet well, making the saves that he needed to make for his team to preserve the shutout in the first half.
Taking a look at the numbers, St. John's out shooting Providence. And for the Friars, a team that had 12 goals scored in their last 5 matches coming in offensively, they have been held at bay through 45.
And I think it's more so a combination of two things, John. First, I think St. John's has done a very good job of stifling the midfield. They've taken out Paulo Lima, who we've mentioned didn't have the first half he'd want to. Now, if he can reinvent himself at halftime here and find a way to get more involved in the game, that would be important for the Friars. And secondly, it's about the final ball. There's been a lot left to be desired, and that's really what's let down the Friars if they've gotten into the final third, and it's just been that final ball.
St. John's up 1-0 here at the break, and it's Big East championship season with field hockey and women's soccer in the books in the conference. The Connecticut Huskies reign supreme again. Nancy Stevens, the legend, leading UConn to another field hockey championship. As you all know, UConn will be joining the league next year. They've already been in field hockey, though. And then in women's soccer, for the first time in program history, Xavier coming out on top. What a run by the Musketeers. They're heading to the NCAA tournament. Nate Lee's done an amazing job with them.
And congrats to them. What a moment. You smiles say it all there. A huge moment for Xavier in the women's soccer program. The men will look to book their championship ticket on Sunday. John will have the call for that one at 12 o'clock from Georgetown. Who will it be? St. John's or the Providence Friars? Find out more in the second half, won't we?
You sure do know how to set it up, partner.
Just following your footsteps, buddy.
We'll be back with more from Queens. Hit that guitar. We're just getting started.
At St. John's University, our students believe, serve, explore, and achieve. A Catholic, Vincentian, metropolitan, and global university, we are at the heart of where lives are enriched. We provide a transformative education that goes far beyond the classroom. We aspire to do more. And for nearly 150 years, the St. John's story has been the story of New York City. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
St. John's University, our students believe, serve, explore, and achieve. A Catholic, Vincentian, metropolitan, and global university. We're at the heart of where lives are enriched. We provide a transformative education that goes far beyond the classroom. We aspire to do more. And for nearly 150 years, the St. John's story has been the story of New York City. We are New York's team. We are St. John's.
St. John's 1, Providence 0. Red Storm 7-0 this year when they lead at the half as we're getting set for the second half kick. Jamie, it's time for Watson's What to Watch For. What are you watching for?
Well, I'm watching for Providence to come out and make sure to give more into the attack, get more numbers into the midfield, challenge more of that midfield battle, and I think that they can do that, get Lima on the ball, Mendonça in the middle, they can get more opportunities and look for Espen Wolf to continue to run up and down the flank and get service in.
St. John's will have a goalkeeper change. They're going to go to Luca Gavrin here in this second half. 7 goals allowed this year, 26 saves. He's 6-1-1 on the year, and this is normal practice for them. Although Gavrin did not play against the Friars last week, the redshirt freshman will get thrown in. We'll get to him in a moment with more. Let's send it back down to Megan Caffrey.
Thanks, John. St. John's coach Mazur was really pleased with how his team came out and played in the first 30 minutes of the first half. He wasn't as happy with their last 15 minutes of that half, however, and he said he needs his team to come out in the second half playing just like they did in those first 30 minutes. He also said they need to lock out the midfield better. Something, if John, you and Jamie remember, Coach Mazur did stress to us coming into this match. As for Providence, head coach Craig Stewart told me his team needs to have a lot more offensive possessions in this second half. Also look for Davis Smith to be starting in this half. Coach really liked how he did in the first.
Great stuff, Megan, and I think you're absolutely right. Getting to talk to both coaches, it's what we're seeing up here. It's what you and the coaches are seeing down there, and I agree wholeheartedly. The first 30 minutes, St. John's were very good. The last 15, they kind of wavered a little bit. They weren't able to assert themselves so much, and to Megan's point, that's absolutely spot on from what we're seeing up here. And we'll hear more from Megan in the second half as she's down there, hearing what both coaches and what the players are saying and getting a real sense for the game down there, and also being a lot tougher than us, John, braving the cold weather down there. She's doing a wonderful job, as always.
As always for us, Megan Caffrey racing the elements, and she'll be with us on Sunday for the Big East Championship game as well. Noon Eastern time on Sunday on FS2. We look forward to it. Officials stopping things here. A couple of whistles now as Oluwaseyi started to dribble with it. And
a little bit of confusion about who it went off of there. I think it should have been Providence's ball, but nonetheless, St. John's the benefactor of the decision.
Forster, the senior, to it. And the Friars get it right back here. They need to get Paulo Lima some activity here in the second half. We'll see if that can happen. Ball towards the 6, and Gavrin's there. Luca Gavrin coming into this game. Dave Mazur's described his 2 keepers this season. Hoffner as the season leader, who sets the tone calmly, very composed in net. Now he goes to Gavrin. He says Gavrin makes some explosive plays, provides that flair, and he just has that look of a keeper.
Well, you mean when he's 6'6" and takes up half the goal? Yeah, that's a good look for a goalkeeper. No, I think it's an interesting tactic, right? One you don't see very often. But Coach Mazur has gotten both of these players to buy in tactically to what they want to do, switching off at halftime. And Luca Gavrin has come on at halftime. And he's seen games out when they've gone into overtime as well. So this is a change that, while on the surface level, maybe from the outside when you're looking at it, you're going, wow, you've got 2 goalkeepers. One's played 17 games, one played 15 games. How is that so? But you're seeing both of these goalkeepers switch back off and on, and they do such a great job that no one has really asserted themselves head and shoulder above the other. He feels that both players offer different little things to the team, and he thinks maybe it throws off the teams as well, Coach Mazur does, when they see one goalkeeper for one half, and then they've got to go out and face a totally different keeper that has a different set of skill sets.
We were talking off the air at the break, just with the way Providence has been rolling heading into this game. It'd be hard to believe to find them scoreless on the night, as there's a bullet that sails high. Nonetheless, we expect that run to come at a certain point.
Yeah, you and I both said that, and from your lips to Mendonca's ears, he tried to have it go from 30 out and catches it on the bounce, and he catches all of it. He's just not able to stay over the ball and keep it on target. But I'd be surprised. These are, as you mentioned, John, earlier, that these are the second and third highest scoring teams in the Big East. You also mentioned they're the second and third lowest conceded teams in the Big East. So you start going, these are two teams that, well, they don't concede a lot. They always seem to find a way to score. And for Providence, as long as this game stays 1-0, they're one bounce away, they're one deflection away. That's how Oluwaseyi got his first goal. Oluwaseyi, got his goal in the first half of a kind of fortunate deflection. So Providence is doing better, and here they go again on the attack.
It's been Wolf up ahead, and St. John's defending that successfully enough to force a corner, but for the Friars, they've gotten plenty of set-piece opportunities. That was Chandler stepping in. This will be the 6th corner of the night for the Friars.
Really good defending from Chandler as he stays big. Didn't bite on Espen Wolf's little fake. It was a lovely little bit of footwork in there, but Chandler read it as he has all night and put himself in a good spot and concedes a corner.
They go short. Now the service to the near side. Back out for Serrano. Chandler heading that back away. The Friars trying to get a look. St. John's has just tracked everything so well defensively. Off the deflection, able to win another corner as Griffin dashes over if they'd like to go short. Now coordinating some things. It looks like Serrano will take this one.
As he has all night. John, you're right. Just preference of this in-swinging corner. They tried a little something different. Obviously, that's a little chalkboard work there, just going short on the first one. It'll be interesting to see if they go short again on the second one or just serve it in.
Serrano to the middle of the area, and the header is in. Paulo Lima with his 6th goal in as many matches. We are level at 1 in Queens.
We talked all game long about the importance of the service, and with Serrano's service, that pace, that power, as it goes in, all Paulo Lima has to do, rise up above everybody, and he just guides it to the back post. The power is created in the ball in from Serrano. Wonderfully timed run inside the box, and Lima, by his standards, didn't have a good first half. Within the first 5 minutes, he goes and puts his mark on the game, scores a vital goal for Providence, levels things up, and it's all to play for in the final 40 minutes now to see who's going to get to play against Georgetown in the Big East Final.
Paulo Lima continues what has been a fantastic run. This is a player who has started every game for the Friars this season after not playing a game as a freshman. Just unbelievable what he's done for this team. And the sophomore stepping up. That's goal number 8 on the campaign, 6 in as many matches, and all of a sudden, the intensity heightens here at Belson Stadium, fitting for a match that decides who heads to the Big East title game. Lima, exceptional in providing that flash for this team. And Craig Storr told us, Jamie, that he's tried to bring in some players that go beyond the tactical side because you need those to win.
And that's exactly what a player like this can do. Look, every soccer player at some point inevitably is going to have a 45 minutes that they want to forget. And I think that was it for Paulo Lima. But what's the mark of a really good player? You can come back in, you can make the change, make the adjustments that you need to. And this one off of a set piece, just finding himself in a good position, put himself in that spot, times the jump to perfection, and just guides it in. He doesn't even put any more power on it. Serrano's created that, just guides it off the head right into the corner. It's a wonderful goal. And Paulo Lima finds his way to be impactful in this match.
Siemens with the ball for Forrester. It's off the hands of Avisa for a corner for St. John's. Buckle up.
It all started with Lima slipping in the midfield. St. John's gets the numbers up, a lovely weighted ball in. And a great shot on target, but it just, Avisa putting himself in the right spot. Forster with the left foot strikes it well. It's just right at Avisa. He gets his hands up in time and just off the ball. As I was saying a moment ago, John, this whole counterattack from St. John's started because Lima got caught wrong-footed, and now he's on the ground right now, and the trainer's going to come out and have a look. And this is important. This is how he's going to be able to go the remainder of the game is going to be so vital to Providence.
They need him. He gives them the offense.
From a deep-lying midfield position. I mean, that's how good he is. 6 goals in the last 6 games. That's good by any striker's rate anywhere around the world, let alone he's doing it from a deep-lying midfield position.
As they tend to Lima. Getting a feel for that foot right now. In these frigid conditions certainly doesn't help with the pain. This match, at the half, there weren't a lot of dangerous moments in the opening 45 minutes, and we were talking about, would this open up? St. John's, defensively, what they can do to a game, they can just wear you down, and the tenor of a game can take on what we saw in the final 30 minutes of the first half. But my, oh my, has Lima provided that spark, and now it feels like this game could take on an entirely new life of its own.
And it will, and a lot of it will depend on if Lima can be able to continue and be in the midfield. So he's in a good spot, and as this breaks out, the first ball will get cleared, and as it goes to Lima, he tries to just adjust, and his footing just goes out from under him. It looks innocuous, but you can tell right away he's holding his right leg up a bit awkwardly up in the air, so he must have felt something as he was falling maybe seconds before, and he's walking off on his own power, so that's important, and he's standing at midfield. Obviously, a player like him is not going to go off at any point in this matchup, but we got business to tend to the corner right now for St. John's.
Einar Lai with 4 assists on the year. Ball in the near post. Simonson, Chandler lays it back. Johnnies can go from the back. Paulo Lima right back on for the Red Storm. Here's Lai with a good run. Lai with a beautiful ball right in the middle of the area, and it's bulleted away. A collective sigh from St. John's Nation, still in the middle of the box, and Oluwaseyi gets a shot off. Offside up, flag raised. And Providence staves off a dangerous threat from the Red Storm.
Really good collective defending in the end, but it starts because no one confronts Simonson. And so he's able to dribble in, and it's an incredibly important clearance off the line from Kawasmi, who's able to just get in on the line, get in a good position as it starts to find its way through. He clears it. The buildup starts to come through. A lovely, smart little decision from Duarte to try to put Oluwaseyi in on his favored left foot. He's just gotten a step ahead inside the box, and some scary, nervy moments defensively for Providence, yet they still don't concede there, and that's a really important moment in this game. That first 5 minutes, we talked about in the first half. What's the response? We're still within that 5-minute window after they go and score, so not conceding is so important for the Friars right now.
Lima coming right back on the pitch just seconds after it looked like he was in some clear pain. And you played the game. How hard is it at this stage of the year in these critical matches to stay off the field?
Oh, you don't want to in a player like him. He knows how influential he is to this Friar team, both offensively and organizing defensively in that pivotal midfield role. And so, obviously everybody's feeling some sort of effects of little injuries all throughout the season, but when you get a knock like this on a cold night, you just hope it's something you can kind of shake off, get back in the game, and we'll keep an eye on him over the course of the next couple of minutes here to see how his movement is laterally. That's going to be the big one.
Christopher Roman awaiting the okay from the official. Up the right side, St. John's defending it well. Julo up to Oluwaseyi. And Donsall over, and how about Lima sliding in? Now St. John's looks to build back up. If you're just joining us, This has been a fantastic Big East semifinal. On this semifinal Wednesday, you've been treated to some of the best college soccer in the country. Georgetown edging Butler 4-3 in PKs. And while the Dogs fell short, a valiant effort. It goes in the book as a draw for a team with an RPI of 25 in hopes of getting an at-large berth to the NCAA tournament. Now here come the Friars again. A shot saved by Gavrin, one off the foot of DeVoke.
Yeah, good job of positioning from Chandler to just take the sting out of that ball as he puts himself in a good spot. Gavrin in the end will make the save and make it look easy, but that's because Chandler stood him up, did a very good job of not diving in, stuck his foot out, and took all the pace off the ball in the end.
Lima. Griffin laying it back to Mendonça. One thing we saw, Jamie, after Providence gave up the goal, 13.5 minutes in, Providence found some rhythm to their possessions, carried into this second half.
It's a sign of a good team to not panic, not have your game plan become undone so early in the match because you concede, and I think that speaks volumes to Craig Stewart and his staff, what they've been able to do with this team mentality-wise, be able to shape them to say, okay, we have a game plan. If we concede, we're not going to just unravel everything that we planned for in this matchup. Stick with it. And they got to half, only down 1-0. And I don't think there'd be any argument from Craig Stewart saying his side didn't play up to the standard he knows that they can play. But yet they come out after a halftime interval. They get the game's equalizer through Lima. And now we're finding ourselves with, just 33 minutes left to play here, all squared. So it doesn't really matter who's been the better team leading up to this. The Friars are growing into this game and growing momentum as it goes on.
St. John's 12-0-1 this year when they score first. Providence has punched back. Ball laid into the 6. Here's a shot from Mendonça, and Gavrin's there. Good hands by the redshirt freshman.
Great save in the end from Gavrin. That 6'6" frame, making that look a lot easier than it was. It's a shorter goalkeeper with a smaller wingspan. Mendonça's shot had eyes for the corner. Not enough pace on it to get it past the goalkeeper, but a really good build-up. And David Smith had the first opportunity, misses on the header. Great layoff right into Mendonça's path. And to Gavrin's credit, he's a bit slighted by that. He can't see that until it fires past Bustamante in front of him, and he's able to adjust quickly to it, get his hands on it, and sure-handedly makes the save.
DeVoke, throw in here in the near side. Heading towards that end line. St. John's able to just force another throw and keep that from getting to a corner. St. John's setting the tone. 13.5 minutes in. Tani Oluwaseyi. A header off an initial shot. The rebound went in for his 11th. But then Paulo Lima equalizing things in the 50th. And the two stars we told you about to open up the show have risen to the occasion once again. I'll tell you what, it's hard to believe Lima's just an all-conference second-team player.
It speaks volume to how good this conference is, that a player of Paulo Lima's stature only finds himself on the second team, but that first team list is a star-studded cast. And you look across both of these teams, you said it in the open, John, double-digit number of postseason accolades, 6 respectively for St. John's, 4 for Providence, and this conference year after year just seemingly gets stronger and stronger and deeper. You got guys on the third team like Danny Griffin. You see how important he's been into the match, and you're telling me he's only in the third best 11 that the conference can create. I mean, it's a true testament to how good this league really is.
Alongside the first teamer, Jamie Watson. I am merely John Fanta. Megan Caffrey down on the sidelines with us on semifinal Wednesday here in the Big East. Oh, the official gets involved. And the touch to the home team.
Playing to the crowd, pandering to the crowd with that touch. Trying to start the counterattack.
He's in postseason mode, the official.
It's a great touch if we're being honest.
Yeah. There should be a promo for that, right?
Can we gift that? John, you know how to do everything with the Big East. Just get a gift for that.
Free Qdoba on the touch. There's got to be some hanging around here.
If there is, would you let me know?
I will.
Okay, thank you.
I told you we were grabbing a bite to eat. My management of scheduling today was terrible.
It absolutely was. You promised Megan and I the best slice in town, and we did
and
not
you
see
came
that.
away with nothing. Oh, boy. The doctor tells me sticking to one meal is a good idea, though, so just like the score of this one, it's plenty of ones. Less than 30 to go here in regulation. And credit to those fans for bracing the conditions tonight.
Well, somebody else that knows a lot about these conditions down there on the field is Megan Caffrey. Megan's braving it with them.
We're going to head down to Megan here in a few moments. She's been in those conditions throughout the night. With more on Brandon Knapp, let's send it down to the third member of our team. Megan?
Unnoticed tonight is how vocal Brandon Knapp really has been. And interestingly enough, in speaking with head coach Dave Mazer about him, he said that Brandon isn't naturally the most vocal of leaders, and he's really asked him to step up in that, and you're seeing it come through here tonight.
A lot of coachability in Knapp, and just as a sophomore, being able to be a leader on a team that's sitting number 8th in the country right now, 2nd seed overall in the tournament. Megan, that's a great point to how important Knapp is for St. John's. And a lot of the work that he does seemingly goes unnoticed, maybe by us commentators, but that's because he's putting himself in such good positions that it allows Providence to look up and go, okay, where we wanted to attack, maybe Knapp's put himself in a good spot to clog that space so they go elsewhere on the field. And you know, it's 17 games played for the sophomore, but he does such a great job of just being that unsung hero in the middle and does such a good job for this Red Storm offense.
One all with a spot to the Big East championship game at stake. Georgetown awaiting the winner of this one. Ryan Weiss can sit, smile, enjoy the win over Butler. An amazing win for the Hoyas. What a season they've put together. A legitimate College Cup contender.
Really tested themselves as well in the top 5 in RPI and second overall. I mean, they really, really put themselves in a position this season that, you know, if they weren't able to go for a three-peat, they certainly would be one of the seeded teams in the tournament.
Forster to Simonson, just out of his reach. Visa taking it in. And to your point, Jamie, this is what the Big East administrative folks talk with about the coaches, is when they speak and have meetings in the off season, they speak about raising the bar. Soccer, a priority sport in the conference. How can they continually move a level up? This year, those discussions that they have with the men's soccer coaches are translating into results. You've got 10 teams in the league, all in the top 80 of the RPI, and the 4 semifinalists in the conference tournament in the top 25. That is, as Wolf feeds us in to the back post, still in a dangerous spot. And St. John's, Simonson staged off. That's what they've been aiming for, and this year it's turned into great results. And that's a credit to the league and the 10 coaches in it for embracing that and collectively putting up a big-time season.
You're right, and I think one of the big things, too, that I really enjoy about the Big East, not everybody gets to get into the tournament. So there's a real emphasis on the conference and your conference record and how you perform against other teams. So it does raise the bar up collectively across the Big East, and only 6 teams make it in, and these 2 teams are going to fight here in the final 25 minutes to see who gets to battle for the championship and lift some hardware at the end of it all. But the recruiting has been fantastic. You start to go down the heart of this Friar team, 4 players from Portugal, So you go do your scouting. Craig Stewart, big network over in Europe. He's able to go find those players. And then you look around, you see Dr. Dave Mazer. I don't know if anybody has a bigger network in the college game than him. Being around since 91 here in St. John's. Maybe you'd put Sasha Sorovsky from Maryland up there. Both of those two are two of the most well-respected coaches in the entirety of NCAA.
Now it's Visa able to stave that off. That got dangerous for Oluwaseyi. Door crept open.
Well, just applying pressure at Dr. Dave Mazer once and starts up top with Oluwaseyi and almost finds himself on the end of it. And here he is again at the top of the box.
Oluwaseyi getting a strike just wide. The sophomore continues to dazzle.
And it deflects on the way through, and you know he wants to get it to his left foot, yet the mark of a great player is his ability to still get the shot off. He's able to create half a step, sets himself up with a good first touch, creates some momentum going forward, touches it wide, and a little bit of a slight deflection in the end. Everybody's eyes were just wondering as it went to the back post, was it going to creep in?
Outside the box. Great maneuverability. Oh, feed laid in and sent away, but what a job by Bustamante to keep that play alive.
Not just win the tackle, but keep possession of it.
Julo. And it falls to the feet of Lima. Now for Wolf with the run. Lima going long. This is a good ball here down the right side. That's just pure skill for Roman. Mendonça helped him out a little bit, and now Mendonça. Griffin. Mendonça shot immediately rejected. Forster all over it.
A little stagnant right now from Providence as they get to the final third. Need more movement in the box.
To the back post. The header just sails high. Beautiful ball. Davis Smith, who's been active in front of the cage tonight.
Well, the 6'7" junior finds himself open in the box, and as he's trying to just contort his body in the air to be able to guide it, it tips down a little bit on him at the last moment, and he's not able to get the header on target. That's one that certainly he'd fancy himself to score from there. Just that judgment of where the ball was going to be in flight. He jumps a little bit too early, tries to make an adjustment in air, and he's not able to get around it and keep it on target. He does right by trying to go back across the grain, back across the goal. If he keeps that on target, there's no way that Gavin can save that.
Man, do these teams continue to validate why they're in the top 21 in the NCAA RPI report. They have just put on a great display of college soccer here, and with 22 and change left, we're in for a fascinating ending.
Well, and you just wonder, moments like those, are there going to be several of them? Are there only going to be a few of them? And are you going to take them? That could be a moment we look back and we pencil in and we go, remember when Davis Smith had that header with 22, 23 minutes left? Hopefully that's not the talking point at the end of the day, saying that was a golden opportunity that they needed to take.
Wolf with some space, and that's been Wolf finding an opening with the feed to the far end. St. John's tracking well defensively here. A ball laid in for Griffin, but it's played back. And now here's Lima. He defines unselfishness as well as Serrano leads this team in assists, laying this one in. And now St. John's trying to maybe form a counter. Forster, good move.
Good recovery there by Lima.
Just over 20 minutes left here at Belson Stadium in Queens. Craig Stewart looking to lead Providence to their first Big East championship game since 2014. Leading this program to the College Cup in his tenure, a couple of Elite Eights. He knows the big game. Dave Mazur knows it all too well. 29 years, leading this program to a national title in 1996, and the program putting up its winningest season since 2008, but trying to get that monkey off their back that has been the Providence Friars, having their number since 2013, a 7-0-1 record for the Friars in that time. Dave Mazur leading the Big East coaching staff of the year. When you talk to other coaches in the Big East about Mazur, they always say, Dave defines what it means to be genuine. Every time you see him, he's the same guy. It says a lot to them. Now here's the service to the 6, and this header sails out. Friars thinking it was deflected, and the official signaling here for just a goal kick. So we've got...
To your point, John, I mean, sorry to interject on you there real quick. I didn't want to leave you hanging. Yeah, you make a good point that Dr. Dave Mazur and his staff, coming off of a prestigious award like the Big East Coaching Staff of the Year, when we spoke to him, he didn't mention that at all, right? That was for him. He was wanting to put all the attention on his players, and his players there. Actually, it looks like Chandler does take a little deflection, so maybe there was some stake in the argument that Providence was making a moment ago, but a bang-bang play there. But you talked about him being one of the most genuine, honest people. Well, that reflects in his teams, and they're a good reflection of him. And, you know, throughout the season, they've done such a good job of picking the moments of when they needed to be gritty and when they needed to fight their way for a win, but then also play good soccer when they need to. And, you know, it's true to the testament now as that 96 championship team as it is today. And you don't come in and you don't change what St. John's is going to do when you're a player. You know you come in there and change what you do to adjust to what St. John's and Dr. Dave Mazur wants to accomplish year after year.
Official bringing the ball back here for Julo. Freshman who's made an immediate impact. A goal and 2 assists on the year. Julo to the middle of the box. Dangerous ball and all over it, Avisa.
Good goalkeeping from Avisa. Confident, strong, makes the save. Wants to start the counterattack, looks up and realizes he only had one of his teammates in an advanced position. Flat service in from Julo. So Avisa comes out, has all the time in the world to read it, gets the trajectory right on it, and catches it at its peak in a very good routine save that he makes look routine, that isn't as easy as it looks.
Here's Lima delivering the equalizer in the 50th. On the far end, Gavrin's there. So fascinating to see. With Gavrin in now, he did allow the goal. And you've got Hoffner who played the first half. If we got to that PK shootout, who would be in goal for that?
Well, I don't think that based on the goal that was conceded, whether it was Hoffner or Gavrin in goal, either one of them couldn't have done anything about it. It was such a good header from Lima off the service from Serrano. So he's led in the past with the goalkeeper in the second half, which has been Gavrin, through overtime. And if today's game carries on, you wonder at 6'6", do you go with Gavrin to keep him in goal? And certainly that's something that every team will have worked on this time of year, is penalty kicks.
Griffin, left-footed strike was blocked. It's out to Wolf. Back to Griffin. Serrano up ahead to Griffin. Laying it off. Wolf to the back post and sent away for a, let's see here what they rule, a throw-in. How did that ball stay in? It somehow kept from going across the end line for what could have been a corner where Providence is so dangerous. Now Lima with the ball in, laid away.
Oh, lovely. Lovely from Lima.
A ball in the back post. Head got to it here. Mendonça trying to keep it in. This is where St. John's faces its ultimate defensive test as the Friars so patient in their approach, just flaring balls in right now. And here comes Nico Petridis, but Providence read it well. They know how dangerous St. John's can be in the counter. Now Mendonça from distance, and Gavrin's there, diving to his left.
Well struck from Mendonça from distance. The Portuguese redshirt senior takes the first touch down, second touch off of his knee. I don't know if he meant that one. Certainly meant that shot from distance. He hits it so pure, so clean that it goes straight on target. And Gavrin gets down to his left and makes the save and puts himself in a good position to make the save that's needed of his team, a save you'd expect him to make.
Now on the near side. Just one drilled away. Who is going to be the hero? It's a question we've been asking throughout this semifinal Wednesday. Tiago Teixeira coming on now for St. John's. 1 goal, 1 assist on the season for Teixeira, the sophomore from Portugal. Portugal well represented in this match tonight. Mendonça standing in. Teixeira just coming on and getting to the ball, and this one back towards the midfield. Right side of the box, and Aviza's there. A tale of two halves in this one.
Yeah, I think both coaches right now, if you asked them how this final 13 minutes is going to play out, I don't think either one of them would know. It's so back and forth right now with neither team really fully asserting themselves. Providence doing a great job of going around the outskirts of it and getting services in, but St. John's has put himself in good positions to not get the ball played through, and they've looked dangerous on the counter, and they're getting more and more set pieces like this. Another opportunity to start to get the likes of Chandler forward. You start to get more and more players. Bustamante jogging over. It looks like he wants to be involved serving this ball in, and these are going to be big moments in the rest of this matchup for both teams, how set pieces are handled both offensively and defensively. Looks like Teixeira is going to stand over it. Substitute just coming in.
What a time for him.
He can come off the bench, and there's Teixeira, so he's going to jog off of it now and not take the service.
With 12.5 left, St. John's looking for that moment. It's to the back post, and the official whistling for a foul. Chandler ranging over to it, and it'll be a goal kick.
So you got Davis Smith at 6'7", and you've got Chandler at 6'6", battling for that one, and both doing a great job. And Davis Smith does a really good job of getting himself in between the defender. He gets the position, and as soon as he starts to feel the contact, that's when he starts to fall backwards. He gets the foul. Really important play defensively.
Mendonça with some space. Seasoned vet for this Providence side. Friars have been so well connected in the second half particularly. It's why they got their reward in the 50th, a moment of brilliance from Paulo Lima. His 6th goal in as many matches. Serrano with the feed. Those two have linked up throughout this season. Serrano with 8 dishes on the year, Lima with 8 goals. And off the whistle here, Friars with a free kick from distance. 11 minutes on that clock. These two teams combined have just played 3 overtime games on the season. Providence 2-0. St. John's 0-1. Serrano. Gavrin leaping into the air. Any difference in approach here as we take another look?
Well, there's no different approach here for Davis Smith. As he got a yellow card in the first half for a challenge on Hoffel there, and then he takes no different approach on that one with Gavin. And I think in the final 10 minutes, you want to make sure not to make a mistake. Good clearance there. It's just about making the smart, simple play right now, and it doesn't have to be pretty, but it just needs to be effective.
Does it take a risk?
Certainly not in the back. If you're both coaches, you're telling your back three or back five when they get into defensive formations, don't take a risk, clear it. But if you're up front, it may take a little moment of brilliance.
This is everything you could ask for with a spot in the championship game on the line. Another thriller in Big East men's soccer. Now a feed to the 6, and St. John's all over it. There's Oluwaseyi, just flaring it back. Drama all throughout the day. Now a turnover. Here's Simonson with a run. Simonson looking for Oluwaseyi. Avisa locks it in. That got dramatic. Knapp trying to keep it in. He does. And Santos was ready for it. And Providence will have the throw, and things picking up here in Queens.
Well, it's a bad turnover from Santos in the midfield, and Simonson with great weight on the ball as he's going to put it through just out of the outstretched leg. Oluwaseyi, and brave goalkeeping in the end from Avisa, and Oluwaseyi catches a nasty foot here as he ducks the head and goes in to try to win the ball, and foul is called here, and we'll see if the defender's going to go into the book. We'll take another look at this as Kawazmi starts to go and he hesitates. He raises his foot, and it's in that moment of hesitation in which Oluwaseyi was able to get in first, bravely sticks his head in there, and no booking on the play, but a set piece is the result.
Bustamante goes short. Teixeira coming on in just the recent moments, trying to find an opening. And laying it back. Providence with everybody behind the ball, and rightly so. Reiner Lai. Eight minutes left in regulation. Overtime is sudden victory, 2 10-minute periods, and if at that point we don't have a winner, we would have a second PK shootout on the day in the Big East semifinals.
Talks about how the level of the Big East, I don't say there's parity in the league, but there's certainly a lot of very good teams at the top, and you're starting to see as postseason games start to kick in, not much is separating these teams in the semifinals. You saw earlier matchup that Georgetown was able to win over Butler and penalties. As you mentioned, this game, not going to be much that separates the two, and who's going to be the one that gets their name in the headlines. Important right now to not try to do too much, though. There's been a couple instances here where St. John's players have just done a little bit too much on the ball in the last few minutes. Don't overcomplicate the game.
Tiago Teixeira, he's been everywhere since coming on to the near post. And Visa will have a goal kick. Big East Championship Sunday comes at you at noon Eastern time. Sunday, FS2. You can stream it live on the Fox Sports app. We are heading to our nation's capital, aren't we?
Very excited, and we'll have Megan Caffrey along as well. We'll keep the dream team alive here for the final. Third year in a row going to Georgetown, and they've really started to put together a dynasty in the Big East, and if they, being they, Georgetown and head coach Brian Weiss, can put together a third consecutive Big East championship, you have to say it's really quite remarkable. with how good the collection of teams and the collection of players that come in to the Big East each and every year.
How about what Dave Nolan's done on the women's side?
Oh, both of them. I mean, it's like tit for tat. You win a championship, we'll win a championship. We saw Xavier get their championship and able to kind of throw a wrench in the plans for the Georgetown women, but you just start to see the quality on both the men's and women's side in this conference, and it is an absolute joy to watch. It's a joy to bring it to you at home.
Yes, it is. A joy to be with you, Jamie, and Megan Caffrey down on the sidelines. 5.5 left. A sharp tackle and a card. Einar Lai, a little too aggressive on the tackle, and a player down here. That's Tiago Mendonça, who's been so instrumental tonight. Looks like he's okay. Just took a shot.
Just a clever little turn. Mendonça first to react, and what Lai's really trying to do is just make sure the counterattack doesn't continue on, and nothing too cynical about it, more or less just stopping the counter.
Off Mendonca's chest, now right side. Off the left foot, Providence. Santos was hoping maybe for a deflection there, didn't happen, and so it's a goal kick. What's the emotion right now as a player? You know that a ticket to the finals on the line, there's 5 minutes left in regulation, and you're even.
Yeah, there's certainly nerves. I mean, it's nerves, but you start to find out which players are the players that really step up in moments. It's the one, are you scared to take the moment, or are you ready to step up and embrace the moment? And right now, you start to see some of these moments where some of these passes are going a little awry, maybe too much dribbling at certain moments. That tells me nerves. Who's the player that's going to be able to be confident on the ball, make the right decision, even if it's a simple one, to be able to give themselves a chance to go and get the game's ultimately the winning goal.
Now Mendonça again, just outside the box. Right-footed strike is off target. That's the 14th shot of the night for the Friars. They've had 6 on target, and the one that delivered Paulo Lima with his 8th this season and the 50th. Tani Oluwashi getting on the board for St. John's, the sophomore with his 11th. That came in the 14th. Well, here's the other element to this.
Okay, let's hear it.
You want to be able to handle adversity,
Yep.
different waves of the game. Georgetown showed us they could. And so for these two teams, in a sense, with the NCAA tournament in sight, this is the type of match you want to have no matter what ends up as the result, because it makes you that much more battle-tested.
Well, this is why this is a big turnover for Providence.
And a feed to the middle of the area. Gavin stopped the initial shot, but the rebound is in. Davis Smith with his 5th goal of the year. Not a bigger one than that for the Friars, who lead it 2-1.
With 20 minutes to go, Davis Smith had one of the biggest opportunities that he didn't take. And with less than 4 minutes left, Davis Smith gets the fortuitous bounce. After a wonderful first save from Gavin, he puts himself in the right spot. And when the game needs a hero, he steps up and confidently finishes it with his left foot. It's a wonderful finish, great service. The mistake was made in the back. A turnover along the end line allows the Friars to carry it into the box, guides it across. Gavin does all he can, but ultimately in the end, it falls right to Davis Smith. And with 3 minutes and change left, Providence is just going to look to hold on and book their ticket into the final against Georgetown on Sunday.
What a comeback for the Providence Friars. They were commanded through 45 minutes. Really kept quiet offensively. In the 50th, Paulo Lima stepped up. And now, in the 87th, Davis Smith delivers for the 5th time this year, moving to 2nd on the team in goals. Danny Griffin getting credit for the assist. His 2nd. Evoke as well. St. John's looking for a magical moment. There's been plenty of Belson magic over the years. They need something major here. Time playing a factor now.
They're going to get another opportunity. It may only be one, but somebody's got to step up and take it for St. John's.
Side Forrester, Aviz off his line. The official ruling here for a corner.
Big decision to make. Instead of calling a penalty, the referee gives a corner. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's his decision.
Narlai. Lie again. Footed strike. And that tackle, that's in favor of Providence. And now the time ticking down. Lie frustrated. The official blowing things dead here.
4 seconds back. 4 seconds.
Let's take a look back at the goal, and it's the turnover. DeValk, does a great job playing across to Danny Griffin. And the first save with Duarte at the back, and Gavin making that save. It's a big cluster. It's a big moment. If that falls anywhere else, you say, what a save. What a game-changing save. A game save that could really turn the tide of the other way if St. John's go on a win, but instead, it falls right into the path fortuitously for Davis Smith, and the junior makes no mistake about it. Slams it home and is off to celebrate with his Friar teammates, and now the clock is their best friend for the Friars. They've got 1:40 left to just see this game out.
You've been so impressed by Davis Smith's persistence tonight.
I've also been impressed with head coach Craig Stewart, who decided to bring Davis Smith off the bench, and he started in the second half, and he's really been impactful in this game. Had the game's best opportunity with about 22 minutes to go and didn't take it. He was able to take this one, certainly, and a minute left to see it out.
St. John's coming into the night 12-0-1 on the season when they score first. 7-0 and up at the half. And tonight, these Providence Friars, who have been that thorn in their side, are on the verge of striking again, as we've got some extracurriculars on the far end, and they'll stop the clock with 43 precious ticks left. Well, Jamie, you said they might have one last shot. This is it. Detritus is it in. Providence all over. Another throw in here. 40 seconds left. Providence down 1-0 at the break. Striking in the 50th, Paulo Lima. Then Davis Smith in the 87th, just moments ago. Right side the box, trying to keep it in here. Laid back out. Here's the service to the back post. Mawashe deflected. The shot is saved, and it's sent away. St. John's desperate. 10 seconds on the clock. Oluwaseyi in. 7 seconds left. Oluwaseyi feeds it in. Headed up in the air. And the Providence Friars are heading to the Big East Championship game for the first time since 2014. A 2-1 come from behind winner at Belson.
Just look what it means to the Providence Friars as they come into Belson Stadium, concede early, and then do a masterful job making the adjustments at halftime to get 2 goals in the second half. And we said they were going to get one more opportunity. You just felt that there was a sense in the game that St. John's had created enough throughout the entirety of the match that they were going to get an opportunity. And here it was, and it fell. Oluwaseyi took a shot, and it fell right to Einerlei. And as he's falling backwards, he can't really create much on it. And it's a fantastic save. A remarkable save from Aviza, who gets across, sets himself, and makes the reaction save off Eli's shot. Effectively seeing the game out from there. And all of the emotions in this game, the ups and the downs, if you're the Friars, not the start you want, not the first half you want. but then you come out, you get the response, you get the equalizer, and then you leave it for late. All of the drama you could want, and heartbreak for St. John's, but undoubtedly we will be seeing St. John's in the NCAA tournament.
And
we will be seeing the Friars in the final, John.
Yes, we will. Johnny's with an RPI of 6. They are heading back to the NCAA tournament for the 21st time in the last 28 years. And for the Providence Friars, a 6th straight win as a run of glory continues for Providence. They came from behind in the 50th, Paulo Lima equalizing, and then Davis Smith in the 87th, just in the nick of time, and the Friars are marching on to the final. Megan Caffrey will have their reaction after this on the Big East Digital Network, presented by SoFi.
It's time to fuel your ambitions by taking charge of your student debt. At SoFi, we've helped over 250,000 people refinance their student loans, saving thousands of dollars. Now you can pay off your student loans faster and reach your goals sooner. See how much you can save in just 2 minutes at SoFi.com/save.
Big cities. Big names. Big legacies. Big sisters and brothers. Big ideas. Big expectations. Big stage. Big results. That's the Big East way.
Providence 2, St. John's 1. The Friars are heading back to the Big East Championship game for the first time in 5 years. Megan Caffrey has the hero, junior Davis Smith.
Davis, your team was down 1-0 at the half. How did you dig in the second to come away with the result?
Well, the coach made some adjustments at halftime. I think that helped. We just believed. We knew we could do it. We've been a good team all season long. Yeah, there was no question. It was positivity in the locker room that we were going to get it done.
You had that second chance opportunity on your goal. What did you see on that play? How did it play out?
I just played the ball down the line to Trevor. He got to it somehow. And, Danny, I thought he was going to get it, and the keeper made a great save, and it just bounced out lucky for me, and I was in the right place, right time, and tapped it in.
Your team is heading to Championship Sunday, winning your 6th straight match. What team is heading into D.C. on Sunday?
A very good team. We're also playing a very good team, so it's going to be a good game. So I look forward to it, and hopefully we get the outcome.
Davis, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now go get warm.
Thank you.
John and Jamie?
That chill has never felt so good for Davis Smith. This Providence team on a magnificent run. They've won 6 in a row. And my goodness, with an RPI of 21, facing Georgetown on Sunday, we've gone from talking about them as an at-large contender to a team that could potentially be in that top 16.
Go from at-large to automatic bid, and you wouldn't bet against it with the way that Providence is able to game plan. And I think the real testament, Megan asked Davis about this, the adjustments at halftime. And you heard Davis say they had a lot of confidence at halftime that they were going to be able to come out and get the game. And that confidence isn't just spur of the moment, John. It transcends from the top down with the coaching staff and making sure that players know when you find yourself in a situation where you're down, you don't have to try to just go throw everything at it in the first 5 minutes and try to go get the game back. Now, fortunately, in the first 5 minutes, they were able to go get the equalizer. But you didn't see them panic or waver when they conceded 13, 14 minutes into the match. And it was really a testament to this squad, how mentally they are peaking at the right time. Physically, they look strong through the final whistle. They dug in, were able to get the result, were able to get the games goal in the 87th minute to give themselves a win. And you take a live look at the table right now. Here's the bracket leading into Championship Sunday, which you can see on FS2, noon Eastern. John, myself, Megan, we will all have the call for this. And you've got 1 versus 3, but you can throw out the rankings from the regular season. Whenever you get to a final, it's about who can dig in for the 90 minutes, maybe even 110 plus penalties, which you saw with Georgetown earlier today, advancing over Butler and penalty kicks. And man, this game, the way these two teams play, it is going to be a physical battle on Sunday. It is going to be, at times, not necessarily pretty, but it's going to be who's the most up for it, who's going to be the team that's ready to fight and win every single ball and take their opportunities when they can, just like Davis Smith took his.
To your point, Providence and Georgetown met in D.C. on September 28th, a 2-1 Hoyas win. But the Friars had a late chance. Felt like there could have been a foul call in the box that could have led them to a PK for the equalizer. There was no call. They played on. The game ended. Hoyas won by a goal. But that shows you that this rematch has a ton of intrigue. This St. John's team, it's a heartbreaker for them. But the Providence Friars are marching on. And an amazing win as Craig Stewart counsels his team. Never a dull moment in the Big East Conference. And Jamie, a last thought from you on an amazing night here in New York.
You see what Providence can do and their capabilities in this tournament. You start to wonder if they can go and replicate that again on the road at Georgetown on Sunday. They came out, made the adjustments they needed to in the second half, were able to get 2 goals, get a win, and deservedly so with that performance in the second half. So congrats to Providence. A great season for St. John's. Their season won't be over just yet. We'll certainly be seeing them in the tournament. And we'll see you again and Megan on Sunday in our nation's capital.
Jamie Watson, always great to be with you. Megan Caffrey as well, doing a tremendous job down on the sidelines. This was a thriller. On an instant classic of a semifinal Wednesday in the Big East, this league continues to show why it's one of the best in all of college soccer. It was said and done. Providence in the 87th minute. Davis Smith on this scramble in the box, the rebound. And the Friars have won 6 straight. They'll meet Georgetown on Sunday at noon on FS2. Providence and the Hoyas for a Big East title. For our producer, Matt Hodges, I'm John Fanta saying good night from Queens. The Friars will play for the title on Sunday.